James P. Johnson's music really is unavoidable. He's such a significant figure in jazz.
He was thought of as the preeminent jazz pianist during the 1920s. In many respects, he provided the soundtrack. And if you think of one tune to characterize the decade, I think most people would probably think of the Charleston.
James P. Johnson came to our attention, I think early on when we started the Jazz Project. Somebody said there was this guy who was born in New Brunswick. And over the course of the years, we did a little bit more research and a little bit more research, and came to be aware that 2019 would mark his 125th year.
James P. Johnson, pioneering jazz pianist and composer, was born in New Brunswick in 1894. The New Brunswick Jazz Project is celebrating his legacy with performances throughout the year.
He's considered the father of stride piano, which is the music that bridges ragtime and what is considered jazz now. A part of that.
Virginia DeBerry is a co-founder of the New Brunswick Jazz Project.
He's quite a significant figure. People know more about Fats Waller. They know more about Willie the Lion Smith. They know more about Art Tatum and all the people who came after James P., but not enough about James P., especially people right here in New Brunswick. So we wanted to make this year the year of JPJ.
Sharp Radway is a jazz musician and composer. He demonstrated Johnson's signature style at a recent New Brunswick Jazz Project event at Tavern on George.
He developed a style of playing called stride piano. Stride because I'm reaching so far down here and then playing a chord in my left hand. I'm playing a bass note followed by a chord. And he'd also play a melody on top, you know? So bass, chord, a melody happening on top, and some improvisation. And that was a style that he developed. So you're hearing boom, 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 right? You're hearing the bass line, you're hearing the rhythm, and you're also hearing some accompaniment with the chord. And then in my right hand, I'm playing melodies. What made that unique was there was some improvisation involved, and the types of chords that he played were a little bit more sophisticated than with early rags.
Dr. Scott Brown is a practicing physician in Baltimore with a lifelong passion for jazz. He wrote the definitive biography of James P. Johnson and is finishing a master's degree in jazz history and research at Rutgers University, Newark.
We think of the 1920s as the jazz age and perhaps a burgeoning of African-American arts. It was the time known as the Harlem Renaissance. It was the era of the classic blues singers such as Bessie Smith. And James P. Johnson was involved in all of those musical realms. He was Bessie Smith's favorite accompanist.
And he wrote Broadway shows. And was a prolific composer for piano rolls and all sorts of things that he was everywhere, but nobody nowadays knows who he is. So we decided we were going to try and fix that.
In a series of interviews late in life, James P. Johnson recalled his days in New Brunswick, learning tunes at his mother's feet at the piano. Her friends who had also migrated up from the Georgia and South Carolina area, who brought a particular type of dance with them called the ring shout.
Lord, the water's so cold.
The ring shout became an elemental component of his musical style into what became known as Harlem stride piano. He provided the soundtrack for the decade.
He wrote the most popular song of the 20s, the Charleston.